Hello there fellow guitarists, and welcome back to another episode of Solos for Beginners. 10 videos dedicated to 10 solos that'll assist you on your way into the wide and wondrous world of lead guitar. Today we're going to learn the solo from Hey Joe, a song by the father of all modern guitar, Jimi Hendrix. Now this solo is going to teach you a few badass old school rock and roll licks, and also going to give you a stepping stone into the wonderful and wacky world that is Jimi Hendrix's playing. Brandon Valentine here, and I'm not going to bore you with too much speech, so without further ado, onwards. So the first part in the solo that we're going to tackle is... And we're going to just start this lick off by having already set up our index finger at the ready to bar over this 12th fret. Now, pretty much the entirety of this solo, not just this lick, but the entirety of the solo, your index finger is going to be based around this 12th fret position. And so once we're set up in this kind of position, we're going to use our ring finger to hit the 15th fret on the B string and give it a full tone bend. And so right at the top of that bend, we're going to fly up and hit the 12th fret of the E string with our index finger. Then pulling off on the B string from 15 to 12. And then up to the G string, hitting the 14 on the G string and giving it a full tone bend up. And then back where it belongs. 12 on the G string, 14 on the D string, 12 on the G string again. Things to note with this lick is it's really important to keep that index finger right there at the ready. You don't want to be going... It's just going to be too much work on your fingers. So this next part of the solo is going to start off exactly as the first part did, with bend up on the 15 on the B string, to high E, the 12 on the high E, pull off between 15 and 12 on the B string, and then full tone bend on the 14 of the G string. Except this time, we're going to go back down to the 12 of the B string, and back up to that 14 on the G string. So that next little part, in which we're just going to hit 12 on the G string, slide up to 14, slide back down to 12, all in one motion, and then 14 on the D string. But before you go there, when you hit that last 12 on the G string, give it a little bit of tension, so you can come slamming back down to that. So this next part of the solo we're going to deal with. And that's going to just be 12 on the G string, 14 on the D string, back to 12 on the G string. Make sure you give it a bit of rake with your right hand, a little bit of attitude. Just to give it a little bit of sass, a little bit of swagger. So the next little part after that, so... which you're just going to slide up on the A string to the 14th fret, then 12 on the D, followed by... which is going to sound a bit ugly by itself, but you're going to bar your ring finger across the 14th fret on both the A and D strings. And then you're going to do the same thing except with your index finger and on the 12th fret across both the G and B. Resolving then on the 14th fret of the D. And that's all followed by two little sporadic bends on the 15th fret of the B string. One of which you're going to give like a nice quick amount of tension, and the second one you're going to have a slow release. Awesome, so this puts us pretty much at the halfway point. So let's go back to the start and play to where we got so far. Let's go over it slowly and with some tabs. Moving on into this next section we have which we're going to start off by making sure that our forefinger is barred across the 12th fret of both the B and high E strings. So hitting those two strings simultaneously. But then moving up to this part, in which you're just going to use your ring finger to reach the 15th fret of the B string, and then going back to the 12-12. But all the while through those three hits, you're hitting both the B and the high E. And then we're going to move up to using our middle finger to bend up on the 14th fret of the G string, all whilst still holding our index finger on the 12th fret of the B string. And that bend is going to be followed by, which is just going to be 12 on the B string, ring finger to 15 on the B string, middle finger to 14 on the G string, and back to the 12 on the B string again. And after that is just going to come where you're going to just hit the open D, and then you're going to reach up to the 14th fret on the D, except you're going to bar your finger across both the 14th fret of the D and the G string. But you're not going to play them simultaneously, you're going to go one after the other and roll down, resolving on the 12th fret of the G. So heading into the home stretch we have in which we're going to just start off by making sure that our forefingers are barred across both the B and high E strings on the 12th fret. We're not going to sound it, but we're just going to make sure because we're going to need it there. And with our middle finger here, we're just going to bend on the G string up a full tone. And once we hit the top of that bend in one fluid motion, we're going to rake down through the B and E. And then with our ring finger on the 15th fret of the high E, we're going to give it a nice, quick and sharp bend. And once that gets back down, we're going to go back to the high E string, 12th fret. So far we have... And now it's going to come a bit more of a complicated part where you're going to have to watch your fingering a bit. You're going to have to make sure that you're getting accuracy and not having notes running over each other. With our middle finger, bending up the 14th fret on the G string, and then with the ring finger, nice non-bent hit on the 15th fret of the B string, back to the high E, the 12th fret, and then back down again. But once we get to that 14th fret on the G string again, we're going to do a nice quick bend, but then we're going to choke the note out before going back to the 12th fret on the G string, letting it sustain out a bit, and then coming down hard on the 14th fret of the D string. So with a part like this, I like to play it a little bit more like an arpeggio. This just keeps it a bit more together than having any alternate picking going on. It'll allow you to have a bit more fluid, and it's also a good stepping stone to arpeggios in the future. We have down, 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 up, up, down. And also be very mindful that in this part, you're not having the notes ring over the top of each other, or else it's going to end up turning into a country guitar lick, you know? It's kind of fun, but that's not what's going on in the solo. So make sure that you practice it slowly and get that separation between the notes. So now we're just left with, in which we're just going to slide up with our finger barred across both the D and G strings to the 11th fret. Ring finger to the 14th fret of the D string, up to the 11th fret of the G string, hit and slide from the 11 to the 12 on the G string, a little bit of tension, resolve back on that E, the 14th fret of the G string, and a nice little flow stab to get away. And finally there's just one nice little flowy slide down on the low E string. Brilliantly done, everyone. Here we are at the end of the lead section, so let's go back to the start of this solo and go over the whole thing again, slowly and with some tabs. lead part of the solo, we're going to head into this kind of rhythmic chromatic section, which is just... And so we're going to start off this walking rhythmic part on the 3rd fret of the A string, the C right there, and that's just going to be followed by open 1, 2, 3 on the E string. And then up to the A string, 2, 3, 4, 5, down to the E string, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to the A string, 4, 5, 6, E chord on the 7th fret of the A string there. And so when it comes time for that E chord section, you're going to go between a regular old held power chord, just lifting up to your index finger barred across the 7th fret, really. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoyed. And make sure if you did that you click the like button and click the subscribe button and click the notifications and let me know in the comments what sort of other videos you'd like me to do in the future. My name's Brandon Valentine. Thank you for joining and I'll see you guys next time.